It is 2 in the morning. You are lying rigidly on the absolute outermost edge of your mattress, teetering dangerously close to the floor, because a 40-pound animal has somehow expanded their mass to consume exactly 80% of the available surface area. They are dead weight. They are snoring rhythmically. And despite your fading circulation and stiffening spine, you do not dare move them. You probably rationalize this. You likely think they are simply seeking out your body heat to stay warm, or perhaps acting out a stubborn, clingy habit they picked up during their puppy months. You would be completely wrong. That heavy, quietly breathing form pressed against your legs is not there by accident or simple convenience. What is actually happening in the dark of your bedroom is a calculated multi-millennium evolutionary strategy driven by a fiercely complex neurochemical loop. Before the sun rises tomorrow, your dog's brain will execute a biological sequence so profound it defies basic logic, entirely rewriting everything you thought you knew about why they absolutely refuse to sleep anywhere else. To genuinely understand what is taking place when your dog climbs onto your sheets and burrows into your side, you have to look closely at how they perceive you when the lights are on. Researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest decided to strip away our assumptions and test exactly how dogs view their human counterparts, utilizing the Ainsworth-Strange situation framework. If that name sounds familiar, it is because this is the exact same strict psychological metric used by pediatricians and developmental psychologists to measure how human toddlers bond with their mothers. It tracks proximity-seeking behaviors, the intensity of separation distress when the parent leaves the room, and the specific reunion calm that washes over the subject when the parent returns. The results of applying this human test to canines completely dismantled our traditional understanding of animal psychology. The data unequivocally revealed that 61% of dogs are securely attached to their owners. That is not just a high number, that is the exact same ratio found in human infants. Your dog does not view you merely as a reliable food dispenser or an alpha pack leader. Their brain fundamentally maps your existence as a parent. When the lights go out and the house grows quiet, your dog actively seeks you out because, to their deeply wired nervous system, your physical presence strictly dictates their continued survival. When they press their spine against your leg or rest their chin on your ankle, they are communicating through touch that out of everything in their entire environment, you are the single safest entity in their world. But survival instincts only represent half of the equation, because what happens next is entirely driven by biological chemistry. If you turn to the journal Science, you will find that researchers at Azabu University in Japan mapped out a brilliant biological feedback mechanism that effortlessly bridges the gap between our two distinct species. It revolves entirely around oxytocin, the powerful bonding molecule strictly responsible for maternal love, deep trust, and social cohesion. When your dog looks at you across the room, your oxytocin levels naturally rise. When you look back at them, your dog's oxytocin surges in direct response. This invisible gaze loop is uniquely ours. If you attempt to recreate this exact same eye contact with a wolf, even a wolf that has been hand-raised by humans from the very moment of its birth, absolutely nothing happens. The chemical loop remains completely dormant. Only dogs have successfully hacked into our biological reward system. And this potent chemical bridge extends right into the silence of your bedroom. Just 10 minutes of sustained physical contact with your dog fundamentally alters the blood chemistry of both species. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone that keeps human beings awake, anxious, and alert to danger, severely plummets in both your body and theirs. That heavy weight resting on your feet is not just a sleeping animal, it is an active biological catalyst preparing both of your physiologies for deep, restorative sleep. This intensely intimate nocturnal ritual did not develop by chance. You have to go back 15,000 years, long before the concept of writing was invented, before the first crops were ever planted in the soil, and before anything resembling a city existed. Picture an ancient, crackling campfire throwing flickering, defensive shadows into the absolute darkness, with the glowing eyes and sharp silhouettes of wild wolves lingering just beyond the reach of the flames. In a deeply poignant 14,000-year-old burial site discovered in Germany, archaeologists uncovered something that stops the breath. They found a sick dog, carefully buried alongside early humans. The skeletal remains revealed that this specific animal had suffered from a brutal, ravaging case of canine distemper and somehow survived for 5 long weeks, solely because human beings painstakingly nursed it through the fever. We did not just tolerate these apex predators by our fires, we fiercely loved them. And that relentless love changed them at a cellular, molecular level. Today, if you look closely at a domestic dog's DNA, specifically zooming in on chromosome 6, you will find distinct genetic insertions dictating extreme hypersociability. Wolves roaming the wild today do not carry this specific mutation. Early humans did not just domesticate a wild predator to help them hunt. Over thousands of freezing nights spent huddled beside those ancient fires, we literally rewrote their DNA to desperately need human presence. Yet this ancient, beautiful bond creates a deeply confusing modern contradiction. According to rigorous data compiled by the Mayo Clinic, having a dog in your bed objectively disrupts your natural sleep cycles. Their restless micro-movements, their panting, their heat generation, and their occasional scratching should technically fracture your sleep architecture and leave you utterly exhausted by morning. But psychological data, including a massive, comprehensive 2024 study published out of the University of Jyväskylä in Finland, reveals a strange and persistent truth. Owners consistently and overwhelmingly report feeling far more rested, safe, and rejuvenated when their dog is physically present in the room. The secret to this paradox lies in a physiological phenomenon called heart rate variability co-regulation. When a bonded dog rests quietly beside you, its nervous system essentially reaches out and literally synchronizes its biological rhythm with your own. The erratic, chaotic heartbeats generated by a highly stressful day slowly smooth out as your heart rate naturally mirrors the slow, heavy, steady rhythm of the sleeping animal beside you. If you were to inexplicably place an unfamiliar human being in your bed, your nervous system would immediately spike into high alert, flooding your body with adrenaline. But your biology makes an exception for them. Only a bonded dog possesses the precise physiological skeleton key required to bypass your natural evolutionary defenses and actively regulate your resting state. Because this physical connection is so deeply and permanently ingrained in their DNA, any sudden shift in their nighttime routine requires your absolute, immediate attention. Drop the assumption that they are just being independent. If your dog has spent years sleeping loyally at your feet and suddenly starts isolating themselves in the living room or hiding under a desk, it is never a random choice. You must look closer, immediately. Often, the absolute earliest detectable sign of hidden joint deterioration or quiet, agonizing arthritis is a subtle reluctance to jump up onto the height of the mattress. They desperately want to be there with you, but the sharp physical pain fundamentally overrides their primal, biological drive for closeness. Even more concerning than joint pain is what happens inside the aging brain. 35% of dogs over 8 years old silently develop canine cognitive dysfunction, which operates as the canine equivalent of human Alzheimer's or dementia. This devastating neurological decline systematically destroys their spatial memory, disrupts their circadian rhythms, and shatters their established sleep routines. A dog pacing the dark hallway while you sleep is not just restless. It is a dog that is profoundly, terrifyingly lost inside its own home. You have to recognize these nighttime shifts not as harmless behavioral quirks, but as urgent. Silent distress signals from an animal desperately trying to tell you that something fundamental is failing inside them. When you finally open your tired eyes tomorrow at 2 in the morning, physically pinned against the edge of the mattress by a snoring animal, look closely at that sleeping silhouette. They did not end up on your side of the bed by accident. Out of every single person, every familiar scent, and every soft surface available to them in the entire world, they actively chose you. They are quietly fulfilling a 14,000-year-old promise written directly into their very biology, resting their heavy head exactly where they know they belong. Drop a comment below and tell me, what percentage of the bed does your dog take up tonight? And while they are claiming your mattress, they are also reading your mind. Because the neuroscience behind why dogs stare into your eyes is even more mind-bending than everything we just covered.